As Democratic presidential contenders campaign across the nation, the war in Iraq continues to weigh on the minds of potential voters. Over the weekend, Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton had to face difficult questions from concerned residents in New Hampshire about her authorization of the Iraq war. During a town hall meeting on Saturday in Berlin, New Hampshire, Roger Tilton, who drove 3 hours from Nashua to see the senator in person, asked her a question.
I want to know if right here, right now, once and for all, without nuance, you can say that that war authorization vote was a mistake. And the reason I want to ask is because a lot of other senators have already done so, including some Republicans and including one of your competitors, Senator Edwards. And the reason I ask personally is because I, and I think a lot of other Democratic primary voters, until we hear you say that, we're not going to hear all these other great things you're saying.
Well, I have said, and I will repeat it, that knowing what I know now, I would never have voted for it. But I also, and I mean, obviously you have to weigh everything as you make your decisions. I have taken responsibility for my vote. The mistakes were made by this president who misled this country and this Congress into a war that should not have been waged.
New York Senator and presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton speaking Saturday in New Hampshire, answering a question from an audience member, Roger Tilton, who joins us now live from Manchester, New Hampshire. We welcome you to Democracy Now!, Roger. It's good to have you with us. Well, why don't you lay out the scene and how you came to ask this question, and were you satisfied with her response?
Well, the scene was Berlin, New Hampshire, up near the Canadian border. I think she chose Berlin because it's been hard hit by mill closings, a lot of jobs lost. I did get up at 4 a.m. and I did drive 3 hours. I got there about 7:30. The event started at 8:30, and I was looking for a restaurant to have breakfast, and I couldn't find one, and that told me a lot about Berlin. It looked like all the old restaurants had been boarded up. A lot of the businesses had been boarded up. There were a lot of holes in the ground where buildings used to stand. And I found a Dunkin' Donuts, and I asked the shift supervisor, what's going on here? And she told me about the mill closures and the jobs lost and the people moving out. So that kind of sets the scene. We met at the Berlin City Hall. About 300 people were there, and it was a very festive, joyful atmosphere. It was Senator Clinton's first visit to New Hampshire, and I wanted to be at this historic first visit by a female presidential candidate. I have 2 daughters who now both want to be president, so I wanted to be there, and I wanted to just to experience it. And it was going very well. It was very cordial, jovial. Everybody was happy. And then I asked that question, and the mood changed pretty rapidly.
And how did you come up with this question? Is this something that you have wanted to ask her for a long time?
No, actually, I came up with the question while I was sitting there listening to all the other questions. I thought, you know, this is going really well for Senator Clinton. I'm just going to ask her a really easy question. I'm going to ask it in a very slow and deliberate tone so she gets it. So that, you know, just once and for all and without nuance, she can say either yes, it was a mistake, or no, it wasn't. But you're talking to me on Tuesday, and that was Saturday, so obviously it wasn't the right answer.
How do you feel about her answer? What do you feel was lacking?
Well, she didn't answer the question, and she nuanced it. You know, to say that if I'd have known then what I know now is a cop-out, that's a political answer. That's not an answer to the question. I think there was a pundit on one of the Sunday talk shows that says, yeah, if we knew then what we know now, we never would have gone to war. You know, that's not a good answer. It's just not a satisfying answer. It's almost as though she went into her political file and found the right note card and leaned in and glared at me and gave me the answer on the note card. It wasn't a genuine answer by any means.
Have you gotten a lot of response from the press after asking this question?
Well, the joys of having a listed phone number, I guess. Fox News especially was hounding me all weekend to appear on one of their programs. I got calls from all the major networks except NBC, so I'd say, yeah, it's been pretty overwhelming. The other thing is, a lot of my friends from around the country have either seen an article in the newspaper, heard me on your show yesterday, seen me on television over the weekend, so my phone's been ringing off the hook.
And are you going to be questioning Barack Obama? He just came to New Hampshire. He spoke last night.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not able to get out to his public rally in Durham, but I do plan to talk to him. I plan to question as many of the candidates as I can. I think that's one of the real joys and benefits of being a voter in New Hampshire, is that we actually get to walk up to these people and ask them questions that either are not being asked by the media or that the candidates refuse to answer when asked by the media, but for some reason they just can't refuse to answer the voters.
Well, Roger Tilton, I want to thank you for being with us as we turn now to another New Hampshire voter. Hillary Clinton has also said she would not rule out attacking Iran. She spoke earlier this month at a dinner organized by AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee here in New York.
The regime's pro-terrorist, anti-American, anti-Israeli rhetoric only underscores the urgency of our response to the threat we face. U.S. policy must be clear and unequivocal. We cannot, we should not, we must not permit Iran to build or acquire nuclear weapons. And in dealing with this threat, as I have said for a very long time, no option can be taken off the table. But Iran is a threat not only because of the hateful rhetoric spewed by its president, not only because of its nuclear ambitions, but because it uses its influence and its revenues in the region to support terrorist elements that are attacking innocent Israelis. And now we believe attacking American soldiers.
Senator Hillary Clinton speaking February 1st at a dinner organized by AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Ann Miller is the director of New Hampshire Peace Action, also joining us from Manchester. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Ann.
Oh, thank you. Good morning.
Talk about your involvement now with these town hall meetings of Senator Clinton, of Barack Obama.
Yep. Over the weekend, Senator Clinton spoke in Berlin, Concord, and Keene. And there were members of our community who were attending, obviously, all of those events. I went to hear Senator Clinton speak in Concord and was not called on during the meeting, but afterwards approached the senator and asked her about the comments that she had made at the AIPAC meeting earlier in the week, and asked her if she really would leave all options on the table, and how could she threaten, in effect, other countries' children with nuclear genocide. She looked me right in the eye and she said, no options are off the table. We cannot abide by a nuclear-armed Iran. It would be an existential threat to the United States. And what I found really interesting in that comment and that use of the word existential is that isn't a word that's used very much in U.S. political discourse, but it is used in Israel's political discourse. And that's of deep concern to me that we have a Democratic presidential candidate who is a militarist of this nature, and that she isn't coming out and saying we need strong diplomatic action with Iran, which is really the only answer. There are no military solutions with respect to Iran that I can see.